Left off in Rambam, the 9th chapter. This is the closing chapter of Hilchos Tshuva, where the Rambam had said the Torah speaks about if you do the right thing, you follow the right path, you do the mitzvos, you study the Torah, you'll be rewarded with bounty, with many positive things in the physical existence. And if you do the wrong thing, you transgress, it'd be terrible punishment. He says that all has to do with this world. But the ultimate reward is not in this existence, it's the world to come. And he explained there's nothing comparable to what that is. And what determines what one's level of worthiness is, that's where it was starting over here. Elakachu hechra. He says, he says, when we speak about the unlimited level of reward for mitzvos, what the Torah describes, that's not the end of the discussion. And when the Torah speaks about punishment, level of liability, it's not the end of the discussion. It's not the extent of all the punishment one is deserving when you transgress. We be punished in this world, in the physical world, and be punished in the world to come. El kachu hechra, I'll call it for him. This is the upshot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu nosen lanu Torah zu eitz chaim hi. The Torah is a tree of life. Chol osa kol hakosav bo. One who actually actualizes and does whatever stated in that Torah. V'yoda dea gemura. And you have a complete understanding of what stated there. Nechona, gemura nechona, correct understanding of what's written in the Torah. Zocha bo l'chayot l'mabo. One merits life in the world to come. Godel masov, and based on the dimension of your actions. Godel masov. What does that mean? One can do the same action. You do it by rote. You do it out of fear of punishment. You do it out of reverence. You do it, you infuse it with love. So that's Godel Masov. That's the dimension. You're doing the same action. But in terms of its innate value, it takes on another level of value based on the dimension of that action. That's what it is. Fi Godel Masov. Or it could be quantitative, both qualitative and quantitative. V'rov chachmoso. And the degree of your wisdom, meaning how much Torah knowledge do you possess? Who's ochet? To that degree, you'll be meritorious. And we say in the in Ashrei is one of the Psalms, and it's an acrostic. Each statement is according to one of the letters of the Aleph base of the alphabet, Hebrew alphabet. So we say over there. For Kuf, what is the verse for Kuf? Korov Hashem, look, Korov, God is close to those who call out to Him. L'chol asher yikru be'emes, to all those who call Him out towards Him be'emes, with truth. So the two ways to understand that. Korov Hashem l'chol korov asher yikru be'emes, He's close to those who call out to Him, who supplicate in be'emes with sincerity, meaning their hearts and their minds are totally committed to that supplication. That's bemis, with truth. Or bemis means, we know that King Solomon in Mishlei, in Proverbs, refers to the Torah as the only absolute truth in existence. Torah is truth on the absolute level. Why? Because Torah itself is God's wisdom, and God's signet is truth. Therefore, the Torah, anything that has relevance to God, is truth. Emes kanev al, acquire truth, don't sell it. Torah is quantified as the absolute truth. That's what Torah is. So therefore, Korah Hashem l'chol korov, God is close to all call out to Him. Asher yikru ve'emes, those who call to Him who possess emes, Their whole persona is emes. Why is their persona emes, truth? Because they themselves are permeated. Every aspect of their mind, their emotion, is dictated by the Torah. As a result of that, they're karub emes. Whatever they call, because the perspective is Torah, it's dictated by Torah, therefore God is closest to them. So not only does it mean they call out to him with truth, they call out to him be'emes because they're possessors of truth. Ufi Godel Masov, according to the dimension of his actions, I said, out of fear, out of love, by rote, whatever level that is, Berov Chochmoso, and based on the dimension of that person's Torah wisdom. Because that will, to that degree, you'll be meritorious. Because the more the person is the receptacle for the Torah, he's the repository for the Torah. We find the Gemara tells us, very interesting, we're not too far off from the portions of the building of the Mishkan. What was the holiest vessel in the Mishkan? The Aron, the Ark. The Ark contained within it the second set of tablets, the broken tablets, and the Torah itself. And there were cherubs on top of the Ark. Two cherubs facing one another. When Hashem communicated with Moshe, where was the Shekhinah? Where was the divine presence? It was between the cherubs. That was the location of divine presence. The Torah, when it gives the instruction how it should be made, it says, "Mibayis u'minchutz titzapenu." It was made of gold. Mibayis, from the inside was gold, and the outside is gold. Now, what was the Ark? The Aron was the repository for the Torah. What is a Talmud Chacham? What is a Torah scholar? He's a repository for the Torah. So the Gemara tells us, the Talmud tells us, that a Talmud Chacham who's tochel kebaro, that is outside is consistent with his inside, then he has relevance to the equivalent. He's the equivalent of the Ark, of the Holy Ark. Just as the Ark, the Torah says, is mibayis michutz. A Talmud Chacham who's tochel kebaro, that is considered the bona fide Talmud Chacham. But what's that based upon? It's based upon Rov Chachmoso. If you understand and you internalize that truth, that means you're genuine. It's not only a facade, but that is your essence. So the degree of Olam Haba, the world to come, you receive is based on Golden Masov, the dimension of your actions. At what level did you perform the mitzvah? Was it out of fear? Was it out of rote? Was it with reverence? Was it with love? That is Golden Masov. And based on the degree of wisdom you have, Torah, how much Torah do you possess? To that degree, you're going to merit that share in the world to come, because that's who you are. We're not finished. V'vtichonu b'Torah. The Torah gives us a guarantee, promises us. Shem nase osa b'simcha. When you do the mitzvah, not only with love and with reverence, you do it with joy. You feel privileged that you have the opportunity to do the mitzvah tovas nefesh, with full good-heartedness. No, you don't do it begrudgingly. And there's never a time you feel that you're burdened by the wisdom of the Torah. I've had enough. There's never enough. The Rambam rules we had in the laws of Talmud Torah that although we normally say oskim mitzvah potem mitzvah, if you're engaging in one mitzvah, you're absolved from another mitzvah. When it comes to the study of Torah, although we say Talmud Torah keneged kulam, that the Torah itself in its innate value, it's equivalent of all the mitzvahs combined. But if you are confronted with a mitzvah which cannot be delegated to a third party, one is obligated to interrupt this Torah study to attend and address that mitzvah. But if you could delegate it, then you're not permitted to interrupt your Torah study. For instance, let's say somebody comes and a person's needy and he needs charity. And the only one who's able to help him is the person who's studying Torah. By sending a third party, he's not going to be able to bring about what the assistance the man needs. You have an obligation to interrupt your Torah study to assist that person and do the mitzvah of chesed, tzedakah, because that it cannot be delegated. But if you could delegate, a third party could do what's expected of you, then you have no right to interrupt it. So the Rambam says that although you interrupt your Torah study, but when you interrupt it, you have in mind to return to your studies the moment you complete doing whatever that mitzvah is. He said there's never a moment of detachment. You're always attached to where you left off. Even when you engage in the mitzvah, your mindset is, I'm getting back. So therefore it says, V'nene b'chochmoso tomid. You're always having pleasure, benefiting from that wisdom. It's like a person, lahavdil. He's obsessed with something he loves. Even when he's doing something else, what's his mind? Where's his emotion? It's still attached to that, what he loves most. He has to interrupt, he has to take a break. But nevertheless, where's his mind? His mind is there. So even when you have to interrupt the Torah study, because it cannot be delegated, but when you interrupt it, you have in mind, I'm coming back as soon as I can. It's like with an anticipation, you're coming back. It's interesting. We're going to have soon, we count Sphira. We count from the second day of Pesach till Shavuos. We count 49 days, which is, the Chinuch explains, is we count towards the receiving of Torah at Sinai, because it was 49 days. He says, like a slave that works in the sun, and he anticipates and he craves for the moment where you go into the shade to have a respite from the sun. Identically, when we left Egypt, there was an anticipation and a craving. We can't wait for that moment when we stayed at Sinai and received the Torah from Hashem. There's that anticipation. No moment is soon enough, but that moment. But that's crucial. It's an anticipation. When you study, Yenene Tomid. Venene b'chochmoso Tomid. You think about it. I remember when I was a student, I told the story, I had a certain Rebbe, his ability to elucidate something, explain it, it was such pleasure. I mean, it was like listening to music. And I remember, in the afternoon, he would say his Torah lecture for an hour and 45 minutes after, and that's what it would take. Then we would review it for 2 hours in the afternoon. And he was there in the Beis Medrash. If you would have questions, he could repeat the same thing over 100 times. And every time he said it over, it's like he said it for the first time. After a while, you said it over, you get tired of it. Every time he would say it over, it's like he said it over the first time. He said it with that same feel, the same enthusiasm, with the same interest to make sure you understood exactly what he said, with every nuance of detail, of emphasis. It was unbelievable. His own what we call Avas Torah, his love for the Torah was such, he was never tired of it, never. And therefore, the 100th moment was like the first moment. L'havdil elef havdolas, as we say, a person who's greedy, he hasn't spent the first dollar he ever made. Understand? Years ago, if you went to a barbershop, the barbershop, he had his license on the wall. When he was an immigrant, he came to the United States, he went to some kind of barber school, got a license, and he had his combs in the Mercure comb. That's how he sterilized the combs and the scissors, and the clippers that he clipped your hair with. Was not all the clippers were electric, and he would have the first dollar that he made as a barber. He had it in the frame. That was the dollar on the wall. That's the way the barbershops looked. And the barber chair, he bought it 20th hand, and you sat on a barber chair that somebody who passed away in 1850 sat on that same barbershop chair. That was the barbershop. It brought back such fond memories when he went into business. Today, the barber, he has arthritis in his hands. He's a barber for 50 years, and he prides himself.